Marcus Reed's lips touched the CEO's mouth, not out of desire, but desperation. The bitter taste of almonds flooded his senses. Cyanide. He'd seen the waiter's hand tremble over her champagne glass, watched the powder dissolve into golden bubbles, and knew he had exactly 4 seconds before Victoria Chen would take her first sip. His late wife had died the same way 3 years ago, labeled an accident. Tonight, he'd either save this woman or die trying. But what Marcus didn't know was that this kiss would unravel a conspiracy that connected both deaths and reveal that the woman in his arms held the final piece of evidence that could destroy them all. Comment below what city you're watching from, so I can see how far this story has traveled. The champagne glass rose toward Victoria Chen's lips in slow motion, and Marcus Reed knew he was out of time. He'd spent 6 months tracking the pattern. 6 months connecting dots between his wife Sarah's accidental death and the suspicious heart attack that killed David Chen, this woman's father. 6 months preparing for this exact moment, but nothing prepared him for the split-second decision that would change everything. Marcus crossed the ballroom floor with purpose, his heart hammering against his ribs. 200 guests in designer gowns and tailored suits turned to stare as he strode past them, but he didn't care. All he could see was Victoria poised elegant, completely unaware that she was 3 seconds from death. Her dark eyes widened as he reached her. Shock flickered across her face. "What are you—" He grabbed her wrist, pulling her close. The champagne glass tilted, spilling golden liquid onto her navy gown. She gasped, anger flashing across her features, but Marcus was already moving. His hand cradled the back of her head, fingers threading through her hair, and then his mouth was on hers. The kiss was hard, urgent, desperate. He felt her stiffen in shock, heard the collective gasp from the crowd. But he focused on one thing, stealing the poison from her lips before she could swallow. The bitter taste of almonds exploded across his tongue. Cyanide. He'd been right. Victoria shoved against his chest, breaking the kiss. Her hand cracked across his face, the slap echoing through the suddenly silent ballroom. "How dare you!" Her voice shook with fury and humiliation. "Security!" But Marcus couldn't respond. His tongue had gone numb. The room tilted sideways, and he stumbled, catching himself against a nearby table. Champagne flutes crashed to the floor, crystal shattering like his ability to stand upright. "Marcus!" Victoria's voice changed from angry to alarmed. "What's wrong with you?" He tried to speak, but his throat was closing, burning. Every breath felt like swallowing glass. He looked up at her through blurring vision, tried to form words, but only managed a rasp. "Poison." Then his knees gave out and he collapsed. Victoria caught him, her arms surprisingly strong as she lowered him to the floor. People swarmed around them, voices rising in panic and confusion. "Someone call 911. Give him space." What happened? Victoria's face hovered above his fear, replacing the anger in her eyes. She pressed her fingers against his neck, checking his pulse. "Stay with me," she commanded. "Don't you dare die after whatever that was." Marcus wanted to tell her about the waiter, about the man with the scar on his left hand, who'd approached her table with a tray of champagne glasses, about how that same man had disappeared through the service entrance 30 seconds ago, about how this was all connected to her father's death and his wife's murder, and a conspiracy that ran deeper than either of them could imagine. But his vision was darkening at the edges, and his lungs weren't cooperating anymore. The last thing he heard before losing consciousness was Victoria's voice, sharp and commanding, taking control of the chaos around them. "Everyone back up, now. Someone find out who brought that champagne. I want security footage from every camera in this ballroom. And get me Dr. Morrison from County General. Tell him Victoria Chen needs him here immediately." Then nothing. Marcus woke to the steady beep of monitors and the antiseptic smell of a hospital room. His throat felt like he'd swallowed broken glass and every muscle in his body ached. But he was alive. "Welcome back." He turned his head carefully, because even that small movement sent waves of pain through his skull, and found Victoria Chen sitting in the chair beside his bed. She'd changed out of her ruined gown into jeans and a simple sweater. Without makeup, she looked younger than her 32 years and exhausted. "How long?" His voice came out as a broken whisper. 16 hours. They pumped your stomach, gave you chelation therapy, monitored your heart. The doctor said you're lucky to be alive. She leaned forward, her eyes searching his face. "Now tell me why a man I've never met kissed me in front of 200 people and nearly died doing it." Marcus tried to sit up, but she pressed a hand against his shoulder, keeping him down. "Easy. You're not going anywhere yet," he swallowed, wincing. "Your champagne, it was poisoned." "So you said before you collapsed. The police tested the glass you knocked over. Clean, no poison." "Not that glass. The one the waiter was bringing you." Victoria's expression didn't change. "There was no other glass. Security reviewed the footage. No one approached my table with champagne except the regular catering staff." Marcus closed his eyes, his mind racing despite the fog of medication. "He got away then. Took the glass with him." "Who got away, Marcus? I need you to make sense." He looked at her, then really looked at her. She had her father's eyes, dark and intelligent with that same intensity David Chen had possessed. The old man had reached out to Marcus 3 months before his death, cryptic messages about financial irregularities and dangerous secrets. Then David had died of a sudden heart attack, and those secrets had died with him, or so everyone thought. "Your father hired me," Marcus said quietly. 3 months before he died. Victoria went very still. "My father never mentioned you." "He wasn't supposed to. I'm former FBI Organized Crime Division. He contacted me through a mutual friend, said he'd discovered something at his company. Something worth killing for." Her face paled. "My father died of a heart attack." "So did mine. Also my wife supposedly from a car accident." Marcus forced himself to continue, even though every word hurt. "But I spent 18 months investigating Sarah's death. She was a forensic accountant working a case involving pharmaceutical companies and money laundering. She told me she was close to cracking it. Then a truck ran a red light and killed her instantly. The driver disappeared. No witnesses. Case went cold." Victoria stood walking to the window. "What does this have to do with my father?" "The shell companies Sarah was investigating. Same ones your father found in Chen Enterprises' books. Same offshore accounts. Same pattern of embezzlement." Marcus struggled to sit up, and this time she didn't stop him. "Your father was murdered, Victoria, and whoever killed him tried to kill you tonight." She turned, arms crossed. "That's insane. You're telling me there's some vast conspiracy. I'm telling you that 3 people who discovered the same financial fraud are dead, and you were about to be the 4th. His voice grew stronger, fueled by conviction. "Your father knew he was in danger. That's why he hired me. He wanted someone outside the company, someone who couldn't be bought or threatened. He was going to give me evidence proof of who was behind the embezzlement. But he died before we could meet." Victoria walked back to the bed, her face unreadable. "If what you're saying is true, why kiss me? Why not just knock the glass away?" "Because I saw the waiter. I recognized the type military training professional. If I'd shouted or made a scene, he would have vanished and tried again later. But if you drank the poison and died..." He met her eyes. "The trail would have gone cold forever. I couldn't let that happen. So you sacrificed yourself." "I did what I had to do." She studied him for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and held it up. Security footage played showing the ballroom from multiple angles. "I've watched this 200 times," she said quietly. "Looking for your waiter." Marcus watched the screen. There, he saw himself approaching Victoria, the kiss his collapse. But where was the waiter? He should be visible in the background, approaching with the tray. "Keep watching," Victoria said. The footage continued. And then Marcus saw it, or rather didn't see it. A gap in the frame. A flicker where someone should have been, but wasn't. The footage was edited, he breathed. Very professionally. I had to hire a digital forensics expert to spot it. Someone with high-level access deleted exactly 43 seconds from 4 different camera angles, all showing the area where you claim a waiter approached my table. Marcus felt his chest tighten, and not from the poison. You believe me? I don't know what I believe, but I know my father died suddenly 6 months ago, and I know someone just tried to kill you. Poison confirmed in your blood work, by the way. Cyanide compound, lethal dose. She sat back down. And I know that the night before my father died, he called me. Late. He sounded scared, which wasn't like him. He said if anything happened to him, I should look in his safe deposit box at First National, that there were things I needed to know. Did you? She shook her head. I thought he was being paranoid. He'd been stressed about work, sleeping poorly. I told myself he was just tired. Her voice cracked slightly. Then he died the next day. Heart attack at his desk. The doctor said it was quick, painless. Natural causes. But you didn't believe them. I didn't want to believe anything else. It was easier to think it was just bad luck, bad genetics, stress. She looked at him. But then a stranger kisses me at a charity gala and nearly dies from cyanide poisoning, claiming he saved my life. That's not something I can ignore. Marcus swung his legs over the side of the bed, ignoring the dizziness. We need to get to that safe deposit box. The doctor said you need to rest. The doctor doesn't know that someone just tried to kill you and will try again. He stood gripping the bed rail for support. Where are my clothes? Victoria hesitated, then opened the small closet. You're stubborn. I'm alive. So are you. He took the clothes she handed him. That's what matters. She turned her back while he changed, speaking over her shoulder. I called the police. They took my statement, but without evidence of actual poisoning. They think I'm crazy, or drunk, or trying to get attention. Marcus pulled on his shirt, buttoning it with fingers that still trembled slightly. I know how it sounds. Actually, they think you're romantically obsessed with me and staged some dramatic gesture that went wrong. She turned around as he finished dressing. One detective suggested I file a restraining order. Despite everything, Marcus almost smiled. What did you tell them? That I'd think about it. She grabbed her jacket from the chair. I also hired a private security team, 3 former Secret Service agents. They're waiting outside. Good. Don't go anywhere without them. I wasn't planning to. She opened the door, then paused. Marcus, why didn't you just let me drink it? You didn't know me. We'd never met. Why risk your life? He thought about Sarah, about the years of investigation that had led nowhere, about the promise he'd made to his daughter that he'd find out what really happened to her mother. Because I'm tired of people dying while I watch, he said simply. And because your father trusted me to protect you. I don't break promises to dead men. Victoria nodded slowly. Then let's go keep you from joining them. The 3 security agents were exactly what Marcus expected, alert, professional, and clearly former military. They flanked Victoria as they walked through the hospital corridors, and one of them handed Marcus a folder. Background check, the man said. His name tag read Collins. Former FBI decorated service, resigned 3 years ago after your wife's death. You've been working private security since then, mostly small jobs. Nothing that explains why you were at the Chen Foundation gala last night. Marcus met his eyes. I wasn't invited. We figured. You came in through the service entrance with a flower delivery. Very smooth. Collins almost smiled. But not smooth enough to fool security footage. So why were you there? To stop exactly what almost happened. Collins glanced at Victoria, who nodded. He's telling the truth. Someone tried to poison me. Marcus intercepted it. By kissing you. By doing what was necessary, Victoria said sharply. Are we going to stand here debating methodology, Or are you going to do your job and get us to First National safely? Collins held up his hands. Yes, ma'am. They took Victoria's personal car, an understated black sedan that probably cost more than Marcus's annual salary. Collins drove, while the other two agents followed in a second vehicle. Marcus sat in back with Victoria watching the streets of the city pass by. Tell me about your wife, Victoria said quietly. He didn't want to. Talking about Sarah always felt like reopening a wound that had barely begun to heal. But Victoria had a right to know what she was getting into. Sarah was brilliant, he began. Forensic accountant specialized in tracking illegal money. She could look at financial statements and see patterns nobody else noticed. She worked cases for FBI, SEC, sometimes private firms. He watched the buildings flash past. We met on a case. She was consulting, I was investigating. We solved it together. You fell in love. Eventually. She was patient. I was clueless. The memory brought a ghost of a smile. She had to ask me out 3 times before I realized she wasn't just being friendly. Victoria's lips quirked. Hard to imagine you being clueless about anything. You'd be surprised. His smile faded. We got married. Had Emma. Life was good. Normal. Then Sarah took a case involving pharmaceutical companies. Said something didn't add up in their books. She was excited about it, challenged by it. She'd work late, bring home boxes of files, spread everything across our dining room table. He stopped, the words catching in his throat. What happened? Victoria's voice was gentle. She called me one night. Said she'd figured it out. Said she knew who was behind the money laundering, and it was bigger than she thought. She was scared but determined. Marcus forced himself to continue. She was driving home from her sister's house. I was working late. She told me she had copies of everything, that she'd hidden them somewhere safe. She said she'd tell me where when she got home. But she never made it home. Truck ran a red light, T-boned her car on the driver's side, killed her instantly. The truck driver fled the scene. No witnesses came forward. Police investigated, found nothing. Case went cold within 2 months. Victoria reached over, touching his hand briefly. I'm sorry. I investigated on my own, off the books, obsessively. I neglected Emma, neglected everything else. I had to know. He looked at her. I found connections to offshore accounts, shell companies, the same pharmaceutical firms Sarah had been investigating. But no proof, no names, nothing I could use. So you gave up? I ran out of leads, and Emma needed her father back. He took a breath. Then your father contacted me. Said he'd found something similar in his company's books. Said it might be connected to what Sarah was investigating. He offered to share his information if I'd help him. But he died before you could meet. I got one encrypted message from him. Just 3 words. Check corporate acquisitions. Marcus shook his head. I've been investigating Chen Enterprises for 6 months, looking at every acquisition, every merger, every deal, trying to find what he wanted me to see. Did you? I found irregularities, money moving in unusual patterns, but nothing definitive. He met her eyes. Until last night, someone wouldn't try to kill you unless you were close to something important. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Then she said, My father made several major acquisitions in his last year. Medical technology companies mostly. He said it was strategic diversification. Do you have the files? Everything's digital now. I have access to all corporate records. She pulled out her phone, then hesitated. But if someone has high-level access to security systems, they can track everything you do on company devices. Marcus nodded. We'll need to be careful. The car pulled up to First National Bank, an old stone building that radiated permanence and security. Collins parked in front, while the second vehicle took position down the block. Stay close, Collins said. We'll sweep the interior first. They entered the bank lobby, all polished marble and hushed efficiency. An older woman in a navy suit approached them, her face carefully professional. "Ms. Chen, we've been expecting you." She glanced at Marcus and the security team, though perhaps not quite such an entourage. "Increased security," Victoria said smoothly. "Recent events, you understand." "Of course. This way, please." She led them through the lobby to a private elevator that descended to the vault level. The security was impressive. Multiple checkpoints, biometric scanners, armed guards. This wasn't where regular people kept their valuables. This was where the truly wealthy hid their secrets. The woman who introduced herself as Mrs. Patterson brought them to a small private room with a table and 2 chairs. "I'll need to verify your identity," she said to Victoria. "Of course." The verification process took 15 minutes, fingerprints, retinal scan, security questions that only Victoria and her father would know. Finally, Mrs. Patterson nodded. "Everything checks out. I'll retrieve your father's box now." She left, and Collins positioned himself outside the door while the other agents secured the hallway. Marcus and Victoria were alone in the small room. "What do you think we'll find?" Victoria asked. "The truth," Marcus said. "One way or another." Mrs. Patterson returned carrying a long, flat safety deposit box. She placed it on the table, then discreetly withdrew. Victoria stared at the box for a long moment, her hand hovering over the lid. "Whatever's in here," she said quietly, "it's going to change everything, isn't it?" "Yes." She took a breath, then opened it. Inside was a thick manila envelope, a USB drive, and a handwritten letter on her father's personal stationery. Victoria picked up the letter with trembling hands. "It's addressed to me," she whispered. "Read it." She unfolded the paper, and Marcus watched her face as she read, watched the color drain from her cheeks, watched her eyes fill with tears, watched her hand move to cover her mouth. "Oh my God," she breathed. "Oh my God, Daddy, what did you find?" She handed the letter to Marcus with shaking hands. He read quickly, his pulse accelerating with every line. "My dearest Victoria, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and I'm so sorry. I should have been more careful. I should have seen them coming. I discovered something terrible. Someone within Chen Enterprises has been using our acquisitions to facilitate money laundering and drug trafficking. Over the past 7 years, nearly $200 million has moved through shell companies we've acquired. The money comes from pharmaceutical companies involved in illegal opioid distribution. I've documented everything on the USB drive, financial records, communications, proof of criminal conspiracy. But Victoria, my darling girl, the conspiracy goes higher than I ever imagined. It involves people we trust, people we've known for years. Thomas Grant, my oldest friend, is the architect of the entire operation. He's been stealing from the company and using our legitimate business to clean dirty money. But he's not alone. There are others, powerful people, dangerous people. I was going to confront Thomas yesterday. I had everything I needed to expose him, but now I'm having chest pains and I'm afraid. I think he knows I know. I think he's already acted. If I'm right, if this letter reaches you, please be careful. Trust no one in the company. Thomas will come after you next because you have access to everything. He'll try to make it look like an accident, just like he'll make my death look natural. I've hired someone to protect you. His name is Marcus Reed. He's former FBI, and he lost his wife to these same people. Find him. Trust him. He's the only one who can help you. I love you, my brilliant daughter. I'm sorry I brought this darkness into your life. But please, finish what I started. Make them pay for what they've done. All my love. Dad. Marcus looked up to find Victoria crying silently, tears streaming down her face. He knew, she whispered. He knew they were going to kill him and he tried to warn me. Victoria. Thomas Grant, my father's college roommate. He's been to every family dinner, every holiday celebration. He held me when my mother died. He was at my father's funeral crying, telling me how much he'd miss him. Her voice broke. And he killed him. Marcus wanted to comfort her, but there was no comfort for this kind of betrayal. "We have evidence now," he said quietly. "Your father gave us everything we need. Then we take it to the police. We expose Thomas. We need to be smart about this." Marcus picked up the USB drive. "If Thomas is as connected as your father believed, he'll have people watching. Police, prosecutors, maybe even judges. We go in without a plan, and this evidence disappears. So do we." Victoria wiped her eyes, and Marcus saw something shift in her expression. The grief was still there, but underneath it, something harder. Angrier. "What do you suggest? We make him think we don't know. We need him to feel safe to make a mistake." Marcus thought quickly. "How often do you see Thomas? Weekly board meetings. He's still CFO. I couldn't fire him without cause and I had no idea." She stopped. "There's a meeting tomorrow. Strategy session for the next quarter." "Perfect. You act normal. Don't let him see any suspicion. Meanwhile, I'll analyze your father's evidence, figure out exactly what we're dealing with. And then we set a trap." Collins knocked on the door. "Everything okay in there?" "We're fine," Victoria called. She looked at Marcus. "Can you do this? Set a trap for someone this dangerous?" Marcus thought about Sarah. About the 3 years he'd spent chasing ghosts. About the promise he'd made to find the truth. "Yes," he said, "but I'm going to need your help." They left the bank with the evidence secured in Victoria's bag, Collins and his team maintaining tight security as they returned to the car. But Marcus felt eyes on them. Not specific threats, just the weight of being watched. "We're being followed," he said quietly. "I know," Collins replied. "White sedan 2 cars back. Been with us since the bank." Victoria tensed. "What do we do?" "Nothing obvious. We proceed as planned." Marcus pulled out his phone. "But we're going to need backup." He made a call. It rang 3 times before a familiar voice answered. "Reed, it's been a while." "I need a favor, Brooks." "Of course you do. Nobody calls me just to chat." But there was warmth in the words. Detective Sarah Brooks had worked with Marcus on dozens of cases during his FBI years. She was one of the few people he still trusted. "What's the situation? Corporate conspiracy, money laundering, murder, evidence of all 3. He glanced at Victoria, and someone just tried to kill a witness. Brooks was quiet for a moment. "Where are you?" "Downtown, being followed. I need somewhere secure to analyze evidence." "Come to my house. I'm off shift in an hour. My husband's out of town, so we'll have privacy." She rattled off an address. "And Marcus, watch your back." "Always do." He hung up and looked at Collins. "Change of plans. We're going to—" The white sedan suddenly accelerated, pulling alongside them. Marcus saw the rear window rolling down, saw the barrel of a gun emerging. "Gun!" Collins shouted. The first shot shattered the rear window. Victoria screamed. Marcus threw himself over her, pressing her down into the seat as bullets tore through the interior. Collins swerved, hard tires squealing as he fought for control. More gunshots. The windshield spiderwebbed. Collins grunted, his shoulder erupting in blood, but he kept driving. "Hold on!" he yelled. He whipped the wheel left, cutting across traffic. Horns blared. A truck barely missed them. The white sedan tried to follow, but the second security vehicle slammed into it from behind, forcing it into a light pole. Collins kept driving, one hand on the wheel, blood soaking his shirt. "How bad?" Marcus asked. "I'll live. Get Ms. Chen somewhere safe." Marcus pulled out his phone, dialing 911, as Collins raced through streets, putting distance between them and their attackers. "This is Marcus Reed," he said when the operator answered. "We've been shot at. Officer down. We need immediate police response." He gave their location, demanded they send units to secure the area. Then he looked down at Victoria, still pressed beneath him in the back seat. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, eyes wide with shock. No, no, I'm okay. But her hands were trembling violently, and her breathing was rapid and shallow. Shock setting in. Look at me, Marcus said firmly. Victoria, look at me. She did. You're safe. I've got you. But I need you to stay calm. Can you do that? She nodded jerkily. Good. We're going to get through this. I promise. Collins pulled into an underground parking garage, parking in a shadowed corner, away from the main entrances. The second security vehicle pulled in behind them, both agents jumping out to check their vehicle. We've got a problem, one of them said. The attackers weren't random. They had automatic weapons and professional training. This was an assassination attempt. I know, Marcus said grimly. He turned to Victoria. We can't go to your house. Can't go to mine. Anywhere we're expected, they'll be waiting. Then where? He looked at his phone at the address Brooks had given him. It was a risk. But right now, risks were all they had. We're going to trust an old friend, he said. And then we're going to figure out how to fight back. Because one thing was clear now. Thomas Grant and his conspirators weren't going to wait. They were done being subtle, done with accidents and natural causes. They were coming for Victoria with everything they had. And Marcus had to be ready. Detective Sarah Brooks lived in a quiet neighborhood where houses had front porches and neighbors actually knew each other's names. Marcus helped Victoria out of the car, while Collins leaned heavily against the door, his face pale from blood loss. We need to get him to a hospital, one of the other agents said. No hospitals, Collins ground out. They'll be watching. I've had worse. Sarah appeared at her front door before they'd even made it up the walk. She was in her 50s now, gray threading through her dark hair, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. Those eyes took in Collins's wound, Victoria's shell-shocked expression, and the bullet holes in the sedan in about 3 seconds. Inside. Now. She held the door open. Marcus, get your injured man into the kitchen. I've got a friend coming who used to be an army medic. He'll patch him up, no questions asked. They filed inside and Sarah locked the door behind them, drawing curtains across the windows with practiced efficiency. Her house smelled like coffee and old books comfortable and lived in. Nothing like the sterile luxury of Victoria's world. Sit, Sarah commanded Victoria, pointing to the couch. You look like you're about to pass out. Victoria sat, and Sarah pressed a glass of water into her hands. Drink. All of it. While Victoria obeyed, Sarah helped Marcus get Collins into the kitchen and onto a chair. The agent's shirt was soaked with blood, but when Sarah cut it away, the wound looked clean. Through and through, she said. Missed the bone. You're lucky. Doesn't feel lucky, Collins muttered. Never does. Sarah pulled out her phone. My friend will be here in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, somebody want to tell me what the hell is going on. Marcus gave her the abbreviated version while she worked to stop Collins's bleeding. Her face remained neutral throughout, but he saw her jaw tighten when he mentioned the attempt on Victoria's life at the gala. Thomas Grant, she said when he finished. I know that name. Big player in corporate circles. Philanthropist. City council tried to get him to run for mayor last year. He's also a murderer, Victoria said from the doorway. Her voice was stronger now, anger replacing shock. He killed my father. He's been stealing from my company for 7 years. And now he's trying to kill me. Sarah looked at her appraisingly. You've got evidence. Victoria held up the USB drive. Everything my father collected before he died. Then why aren't you at the FBI field office right now? Because we don't know who we can trust, Marcus said. If Thomas has the resources to edit security footage and stage an assassination attempt in broad daylight, he's got people in his pocket. Maybe a lot of people. Sarah was quiet for a moment, pressing gauze against Collins's wound. Then she said, You're right to be paranoid. I've seen cases get buried by dirty cops and prosecutors. Evidence disappears. Witnesses recant. It happens more than people think. She taped the gauze in place. "But you can't fight this alone. You need allies." "We have you," Marcus said. "One retired detective isn't going to be enough." Sarah washed her hands in the sink. "You need someone with real power. Someone Thomas Grant can't touch." "Like who?" Victoria asked. "Like federal prosecutor Ellen Martinez. She's been trying to build a case against corporate corruption for years. She's clean, she's smart, and she's mean as a snake when someone tries to intimidate her. I trust her." Marcus considered it. "Can you reach out? Feel her out without tipping our hand." "I can make a call." Sarah dried her hands. "But first, let's see what's on that drive." They moved into Sarah's home office, a small room crammed with filing cabinets and a desk that had seen better days. Sarah's personal laptop sat closed on the desk. "We should use that," Marcus said, pointing to the laptop. "Can't risk connecting to any network Victoria's company might monitor." Sarah opened the laptop and handed the USB drive to Marcus. He plugged it in, and they all gathered around the screen as folders appeared. "There must be thousands of files here," Victoria whispered. Marcus opened the first folder. Financial records dating back 7 years meticulously organized by date and transaction type. He scrolled through pages of wire transfers, account numbers, shell company registrations. "Your father was thorough," Sarah said, reading over his shoulder. "This is beautiful documentation, every transaction traced back to source accounts." "Look at the amounts," Victoria said, pointing. "Some of these transfers are $10–15 million at a time." Marcus opened another folder. Email chains between Thomas Grant and various contacts discussing shipments and distributions in carefully coded language. But the pattern was clear enough. "They're moving product," Sarah said. "Pharmaceuticals, probably. Your father's letter mentioned opioids." Marcus clicked on a subfolder labeled Acquisitions. Inside were documents detailing every company Chen Enterprises had purchased in the past 7 years. Medical equipment manufacturers, pharmaceutical distributors, small biotech firms. "He used your company as a front," Marcus said to Victoria. "Legitimate businesses to move illegal drugs. The acquisitions gave him access to supply chains, distribution networks, everything he needed." Victoria's hands clenched into fists. "My father built that company from nothing. Spent 40 years making it something to be proud of. And Thomas destroyed it. Corrupted everything my father worked for." "There's more." Marcus opened a document titled Network. It was an organizational chart showing Thomas Grant at the center, with lines connecting him to dozens of other names. CEOs, politicians, law enforcement officials. "Your father mapped out the entire conspiracy." Sarah leaned closer, her expression grim. "That's State Senator Morrison. That's Judge Caldwell. And is that Jesus? That's Police Chief Anderson." "Which is why we can't just walk into a police station," Marcus said. "Half the people who should be protecting Victoria are on Thomas's payroll." A knock at the front door made them all freeze. Sarah put a hand on her weapon. "That'll be my medic friend. Stay here." She left, and Marcus heard low voices from the front of the house. A minute later, Sarah returned with a lean man in his 60s carrying a medical bag. "This is Frank," she said. "He'll take care of your agent. Frank, this didn't happen." "Never does," Frank said amiably, heading into the kitchen. Sarah closed the office door and turned back to the laptop. "We need to figure out our next move. You've got evidence, but you can't use it if you're dead." "We need to get ahead of Thomas," Marcus said. "He's reacting right now, trying to eliminate threats. We need to make him defensive." "How?" Victoria asked. Marcus thought for a moment. "We leak information. Not everything, just enough to make him panic. Make him think the evidence is already in the wrong hands." "That'll make him more dangerous," Sarah warned. "He's already as dangerous as he can be. He tried to kill Victoria twice in 24 hours. We're past the point of playing it safe." Marcus looked at Victoria. "But it's your call. This is your life we're risking." Victoria met his eyes, and he saw the same determination her father must have had. The same refusal to back down. "Do it," she said. "Let's make him sweat." Sarah pulled out her phone. "I'll call Ellen Martinez. Set up a meeting for tomorrow morning. Somewhere public, lots of witnesses. That'll buy you some protection." While Sarah made the call, Marcus continued examining the files. He found a folder labeled Sarah Reed, and his chest tightened. "Victoria," he said quietly. "Come here." She moved beside him, and he opened the folder. Inside were documents detailing his wife's investigation into the pharmaceutical companies. Notes in David Chen's handwriting explaining how Sarah had been getting close to exposing the money laundering operation. And at the bottom, a single document titled Accident Report. Marcus opened it with trembling hands. It wasn't an accident report, it was a contract. A payment of $250,000 to a consultant for resolving a problem. The date was 3 days before Sarah's death. "Oh my God," Victoria breathed. "Marcus, I'm so sorry." He couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. He'd known somewhere deep down that Sarah's death hadn't been random. But seeing it documented, seeing the price someone had paid to murder his wife, made it real in a way nothing else had. "Marcus," Victoria's hand touched his shoulder. "We'll make them pay for this, I promise you." He nodded, not trusting his voice. Sarah finished her call and looked over. "Ellen will meet us tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the federal courthouse. She's bringing her own security team." Sarah noticed Marcus's expression. "What happened?" "My wife," Marcus managed. "They killed her. It's all documented here." Sarah's face went hard. "Then we nail these bastards. All of them." Frank appeared in the doorway. "Your agent's patched up. He'll need antibiotics and rest, but he'll heal clean." "Thank you, Frank." "Don't mention it, literally." He tipped an imaginary hat and left. Collins appeared a moment later, his arm in a sling, but looking steadier. "We've got another problem. I just got word from my team. Someone hit Ms. Chen's apartment an hour ago, tore the place apart looking for something." Victoria's face paled. "My files. I had copies of everything there. My father's personal documents company records." "Did they get them?" Marcus asked. "I don't know. Everything was encrypted, stored on a private server. But if they have tech people—" She pulled out her phone, then stopped. "I can't check remotely. If they're monitoring my accounts, they'll track your location." Marcus took her phone. "We need to assume they have everything you had at your apartment. What did they get?" Victoria thought for a moment. "Financial records for the past year, board meeting minutes, personnel files. Nothing about my father's investigation, though. I kept that separate." "What about the letter he wrote, the one from the safe deposit box?" "That was the first time I'd seen it." "Good. So they still don't know we have the evidence." Marcus looked at Sarah. "Can we stay here tonight just until we meet with Martinez tomorrow?" "You can have the guest room. I'll take the couch." Sarah stood. "But we need to set up a watch. If Thomas is as desperate as he seems, he might figure out where you are." "I'll take first watch," Marcus said. "I'll take second," Collins offered despite his injury. They organized shifts, and Sarah showed Victoria to the guest room. Marcus heard their voices through the door. Sarah's low and reassuring, Victoria's shaky with exhaustion and stress. When Sarah came back out, she sat next to Marcus on the couch. "She's tough," Sarah said. "Reminds me of her father. He was a good man, Marcus. I met him once at a charity event. He talked about his daughter for an hour, how proud he was of her. He got himself killed trying to protect her. He got himself killed trying to do the right thing. There's a difference." Sarah looked at him. "How are you holding up?" Marcus showed her the file about Sarah Reed, his Sarah. She read through it, her expression darkening. "I always knew something was off about her accident," Sarah Brooks said. "The timing was too convenient. But we had no evidence, no leads. It drove me crazy. Join the club." You know what this means though, right? If we take down Thomas Grant and his network, we get justice for your wife, and for David Chen, and for every other person they've destroyed. Marcus nodded. That's the plan. Plans have a way of going sideways. Sarah handed the file back. But for what it's worth, I've got your back. Whatever happens tomorrow. I know. Thank you. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Sarah said, "That kiss at the gala, the poison. You really didn't hesitate, did you? No time to hesitate. Most people would have frozen, or shouted a warning, or just knocked the glass away." She looked at him. "You chose the option that put you at maximum risk. It was the only option that guaranteed she'd survive. Because of your wife. Because you couldn't save Sarah, so you saved Victoria instead." Marcus didn't deny it. It was true, even if he hadn't consciously realized it at the time. "I'm not going to lose another person to these people," he said quietly. "Not if I can help it. Just make sure you don't get yourself killed in the process. Victoria needs you alive, not martyred." "I'll do my best." Sarah stood squeezing his shoulder. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be hell." She was right. But Marcus had been through hell before. He'd survived his wife's death, raised his daughter alone, spent 3 years chasing ghosts and dead ends. He could survive one more day. He had to. Around 2 in the morning, Marcus heard a noise from the guest room. Quiet crying, muffled, but unmistakable. He knocked softly on the door. "Victoria, are you okay?" The crying stopped. A long pause. Then, "Come in." He opened the door. Victoria sat on the bed, still fully clothed, tears streaming down her face. She'd held it together all day through the shooting and the evidence and the terrible revelations. But now, alone in the dark, she'd finally broken. Marcus sat on the edge of the bed, not too close but near enough. "I keep thinking about my father," she said, her voice thick. His last day. He knew they were going to kill him. He must have been so scared. And he died alone at his desk and I wasn't there. I didn't even get to say goodbye. He knew you loved him. Did he? We'd been fighting about the company. I wanted to modernize, change things. He wanted to keep traditions. We had this huge argument the week before he died. I said terrible things. I told him he was old-fashioned and out of touch. Her voice broke. And now I'll never get to take it back. Marcus understood that guilt. He'd lived with it for 3 years, replaying every conversation with Sarah, every moment he could have done differently. "Your father knew you loved him," he said again more firmly. "Parents know. Even when we fight, even when we say things we don't mean, they know." "How can you be sure?" "Because I'm a father. And my daughter has said things to me in anger. Told me she hated me when I wouldn't let her do something she wanted. Told me I was the worst dad ever." He smiled slightly. "But I've never doubted for a second that she loves me. Parents know, Victoria. Your father knew." She wiped her eyes. "Tell me about your daughter." "Emma. She's 8. Smart as a whip, stubborn as hell. She wants to be a veterinarian." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing her a photo of a girl with dark curls and a bright smile holding a cat. "She volunteers at an animal shelter every Saturday. Comes home covered in fur and completely happy. She's beautiful. She's everything." Marcus put the phone away. "After Sarah died, Emma was the only reason I kept going. Some days I could barely get out of bed, but she needed breakfast, needed her lunch packed, needed help with homework. She needed her father, so I got up. Is she safe if Thomas knows about you?" "She's with my sister in Colorado. I sent her there yesterday before the gala. Told my sister it was a precaution." He met Victoria's eyes. "I'm not taking chances with my daughter's life." "Good." Victoria took a shaky breath. "I don't have anyone like that. No siblings, no children. My mother died when I was 12. My father was all I had. And now, you have me." The words came out before Marcus could think about them. "I mean as protection. as someone who understands what you're going through. But Victoria looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "That kiss at the gala," she said softly. "I know you did it to save my life. But for a second, just a second before I tasted the poison and realized what was happening, I thought—" She trailed off. "Never mind, it's stupid." "What did you think?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I thought maybe someone actually saw me. Not the CEO, not the billionaire heiress, not David Chen's daughter. Just me. Victoria. A woman someone might want to kiss just because." Marcus understood loneliness. He'd lived with it for 3 years. But Emma had purpose. Victoria had been truly alone, surrounded by people who wanted something from her. "For what it's worth," he said carefully. "If circumstances were different, if we'd met under normal conditions, I would have wanted to know you. The real you, not the CEO or the heiress, just Victoria." She smiled, and this time it was genuine. "That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me in a long time." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Victoria said, "Thank you. For everything. For saving my life. For believing my father was murdered when everyone else accepted the official story. For risking your own life to help me. I'm not done helping yet. We still have to take down Thomas and his entire network." "I know, but I wanted to say it anyway." She lay back on the bed, exhausted. "Will you stay? Just until I fall asleep? I don't want to be alone right now." Marcus nodded, settling into the chair by the window. "I'll be right here." Victoria closed her eyes, and within minutes, her breathing evened out into sleep. Marcus watched over her, thinking about Sarah and David Chen, and all the people who'd been destroyed by Thomas Grant's greed. Tomorrow they'd start fighting back. Tomorrow they'd begin the process of bringing down a conspiracy that had cost so many lives. But tonight, he'd keep watch. Make sure Victoria was safe. Make sure she survived to see justice done. He owed that much to her father, and to his own wife. And maybe, just maybe, he owed it to himself too. Morning came too quickly. Marcus woke to find Victoria already up, dressed in clothes Sarah had lent her. She looked tired, but determined, ready to face whatever came next. Sarah had made coffee and toast, and they ate quickly while going over the plan. "Ellen Martinez will meet us at the federal courthouse at 10, Sarah said. "She's bringing 2 federal agents as security. We'll have Collins and his team as well. That should be enough protection to get you inside safely." "And once we're inside?" Victoria asked. "We give her everything. Let the federal government take over the prosecution. They have resources we don't, and Ellen has been waiting for a case like this for years." Marcus checked his weapon, making sure it was loaded. "Thomas is going to know something's up. He's had all night to figure out Victoria's not at her apartment or any of her usual locations." "Let him know," Victoria said firmly. "I'm done hiding. I'm done being scared. My father stood up to these people, and so will I." Sarah smiled approvingly. "That's the spirit. But stay smart, stay safe. Courage without caution gets you killed." They loaded into 2 cars, Collins's team in front, Marcus and Victoria, with Sarah in the second vehicle. The drive to the federal courthouse took 20 minutes through downtown traffic. Marcus watched every car, every pedestrian looking for threats. But nothing seemed out of place. Maybe Thomas didn't know where they were. Maybe they'd actually caught him off guard. Or maybe he was planning something bigger. The federal courthouse was an imposing building with security that rivaled airport screening. They passed through metal detectors and bag checks, federal marshals watching everyone who entered. Ellen Martinez met them inside, a woman in her 40s, with sharp eyes and an air of absolute competence. She shook Victoria's hand firmly. "Ms. Chen, Detective Brooks speaks highly of you. She says you have evidence of widespread corporate corruption." "I have evidence of conspiracy, money laundering, and murder," Victoria said, "including the murder of my father." Ellen's expression sharpened. "Let's talk in my office. It's secure there." They followed her through corridors filled with lawyers and federal employees. Ellen's office was spacious, but utilitarian, with case files stacked on every surface. "Sorry for the mess," Ellen said, clearing chairs for them to sit. "I'm juggling about 20 cases right now. But if what you have is as significant as Sarah suggested, this one just became priority number 1. Victoria handed her the USB drive. "Everything's on here. 7 years of financial records, emails, organizational charts. My father documented the entire conspiracy before they killed him." Ellen plugged the drive into her computer and began reading. Her expression grew darker with every file she opened. "My God," she breathed. "This is massive. Thomas Grant, Senator Morrison, Judge Caldwell, dozens of others. And the money laundering operation is enormous. $200 million over 7 years. At least," Marcus said. "Probably more that David Chen didn't discover." Ellen kept reading, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Then she stopped staring at the screen. "What is it?" Victoria asked. "This can't be right." Ellen looked up, her face pale. "According to these emails, there's a shipment coming in tonight, a major distribution of illegal pharmaceuticals, worth an estimated $50 million on the street." Marcus leaned forward. "Where?" "Chen Enterprises warehouse facility. Dock 7. Ellen's jaw tightened. "They're using your company's legitimate shipping operation to move the drugs." Victoria's face flushed with anger. "I'm authorizing you to seize everything. Shut down the entire operation. Arrest everyone involved." "It's not that simple," Ellen said. "I need warrants, need to coordinate with DEA and FBI. This kind of operation takes time to set up properly." "We don't have time," Marcus said. "Thomas knows we have evidence. He'll move the shipment, destroy records, disappear. We need to move now." Ellen thought for a moment. "I can fast-track the warrants, pull in federal resources, but I need 12 hours minimum to set everything up properly." "The shipment arrives at 8 tonight," Victoria said. "We have 10 hours." "Then we'd better get started." Ellen picked up her phone. "Sarah, I'm going to need your help coordinating with local PD. Marcus, you stick with Victoria. Don't let her out of your sight. If Thomas figures out we're moving on him tonight, he'll try to eliminate her before we can shut him down." They spent the next several hours in a flurry of activity. Ellen made call after call, pulling together federal agents, DEA officers, local police she trusted. Sarah worked the phones, coordinating logistics. Marcus stayed with Victoria, watching her as she answered Ellen's questions about company operations, warehouse locations, security procedures. She was impressive under pressure, never faltering, never showing fear. Around 3 in the afternoon, Ellen's assistant brought in sandwiches. They ate while continuing to plan. "We'll have teams positioned around the warehouse by 7, Ellen said. "When the shipment arrives, we move in. Seize the drugs, arrest everyone on site. Then we start rolling up the network." "Thomas won't be at the warehouse himself," Marcus said. "He's too smart for that." "No, but we'll get him through the evidence. Every communication, every transaction, it all leads back to him." Ellen looked at Victoria. "Your father's documentation is going to put dozens of people in prison, including his best friend." Victoria's expression hardened. "Good." Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Reed." A voice he didn't recognize spoke. "Mr. Reed, I have a message for you and Ms. Chen, from Mr. Grant." Marcus put the phone on speaker. "I'm listening." "Mr. Grant knows you have his files. He knows you're planning to move against him tonight. He's offering you a deal." "We don't make deals with murderers," Victoria said coldly. The voice continued as if she hadn't spoken. "Mr. Grant will turn himself in. Confess to everything. In exchange, you let everyone else in the organization walk away. No arrests, no prosecutions. Just him." "He's trying to protect his network," Ellen said. "Keep the operation intact, even if he goes down." "Exactly," the voice agreed. "It's a generous offer. Mr. Grant takes the fall, serves his time, and everyone else gets to continue their lives. Including you, Ms. Chen. What's that supposed to mean? Marcus demanded. It means accidents can still happen, even with federal protection, even in secure locations. Mr. Grant has considerable resources. He can reach anyone, anywhere. Unless you accept his offer. Victoria stood up, fury radiating from her. Tell Thomas that I don't negotiate with the man who killed my father. Tell him I'm going to watch him rot in prison. And tell him that everyone who helped him, everyone who profited from his crimes, they're going down too. Silence on the other end. Then, very well. Mr. Grant thought you might say that. He asked me to give you one more piece of information. What? Your daughter Emma is a lovely child, Mr. Reed. Third-grade volunteers at an animal shelter. Favorite color is purple. It would be a shame if anything happened to her. Marcus's blood went cold. If you touch my daughter, then accept the deal. You have 1 hour to decide. The line went dead. Marcus was already dialing, calling his sister in Colorado. The phone rang 4 times, 5, 6, then voicemail. Lisa, call me immediately, right now. It's about Emma. He tried again. Still voicemail. We need to send police to my sister's house, he said, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. Now. Ellen was already on it, calling the Colorado State Police, demanding they send units to the address Marcus gave her. Victoria grabbed his hand. She'll be okay. They're just trying to scare us. It's working. Marcus tried his sister's cell again. Nothing. The next 10 minutes were the longest of his life. He paced Ellen's office phone in hand, waiting for word from Colorado. Finally, Ellen's phone rang. She answered, listened, then looked at Marcus. Your sister and daughter are fine. They were at the grocery store. Police are with them now. Marcus nearly collapsed with relief. Thank God. I'm having them transported to a secure location, Ellen said. Federal protection until this is over. Thank you. But Marcus, this changes things. Thomas is escalating. He's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous, which is why we need to end this tonight, Victoria said, before anyone else gets hurt. Ellen nodded. Agreed. We move forward with the raid. 6 hours until the shipment arrives. Let's make sure we're ready. They spent the rest of the afternoon preparing. Marcus checked and rechecked his weapon. Victoria went over warehouse schematics with Ellen, identifying entry points and security measures. Sarah made sure everyone had communication equipment and backup plans. As 7 o'clock approached, the energy in the room shifted. This was it. After months of investigation, after 2 murder attempts, after years of injustice, they were finally going to strike back. Marcus looked at Victoria across the room. She met his eyes and nodded. They were ready. Whatever happened tonight, Thomas Grant's reign of terror was about to end, and Marcus was going to make damn sure of it. The warehouse district at dusk looked like something out of a crime thriller, all long shadows and industrial decay. Marcus sat in the back of an unmarked federal vehicle 3 blocks from Dock 7, watching the sun sink below the skyline. Victoria was beside him, wearing a bulletproof vest under a borrowed FBI windbreaker. Her hands were steady, but he could see the tension in her jaw. You don't have to be here, he said quietly. Ellen's team can handle this. It's my company. My father's legacy. I need to see this through. She turned to look at him. Besides, you're here. You could have walked away after saving my life at the gala. You didn't have to stay. Yes, I did. Because of your wife. Marcus thought about that. At first, maybe, but not anymore. Victoria opened her mouth to respond, but Ellen's voice crackled through their earpieces. All units target vehicle approaching from the east. Black semi-truck unmarked. ETA 2 minutes to Dock 7. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. This was it. Remember the plan, Ellen continued. We wait until the shipment is inside the warehouse, and they begin unloading. We need them in possession of the drugs before we move in. No one acts until I give the signal. Victoria's hand found Marcus's in the darkness of the vehicle. Her fingers were cold. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp, keeps you alive. My father must have been terrified. Those last days knowing what he knew, waiting for them to come for him." Marcus squeezed her hand. "Your father was brave. He did the right thing even though he knew it would cost him everything. That's the definition of courage. I want to be that brave." "You already are. You're here, aren't you?" Through the windshield, they watched the semi-truck rumble past their position heading toward the warehouse. It moved slowly, carefully. Nothing suspicious about it, except for the $50 million in illegal pharmaceuticals hidden inside. "Vehicle entering Dock 7. Another voice reported through the earpiece. "Warehouse doors opening. Security team is 4 men armed with automatic weapons." "Copy that," Ellen responded. "All teams hold position." The waiting was torture. Marcus watched the seconds tick by on his phone. 5 minutes. 10. 15. "They're unloading," the surveillance team reported. "Confirming multiple crates being moved into the warehouse. Subjects appear to be conducting inventory." "How many people inside?" Ellen asked. 12 visible. 6 on security, 6 handling the shipment. Stand by, we've got additional vehicles arriving. 3 SUVs blacked out." Marcus tensed. "That's not part of the normal operation." "Could be buyers," Victoria said. "My father's notes mentioned that sometimes they'd arrange deals on site." But something felt wrong. Marcus's instincts, honed by years of law enforcement work, were screaming at him. "Ellen," he said into his mic, "those SUVs. Can you run the plates?" "Already on it. Stand by." A pause. "Plates are registered to shell companies. Same network Thomas Grant uses for his operations." "That's not buyers," Marcus said. "That's Grant's personal security team." "Why would he send his own people?" Victoria asked. Marcus's stomach dropped. "Because he knows we're here. This is a trap." "All units abort." Ellen's voice was sharp. "I repeat, abort the operation. Fall back to—" The explosion cut her off. Dock 7 erupted in flames, the warehouse bursting outward in a ball of fire and debris. The shockwave hit their vehicle hard enough to rock it on its suspension. "Jesus Christ!" the driver yelled. Marcus threw himself over Victoria, shielding her as burning debris rained down around them. Car alarms shrieked. Someone was screaming through the radio. "Report!" Ellen shouted. "All teams report static." Confused voices. Then, "Surveillance team is down." "Repeat, surveillance team is down." Building collapsed on their position. Marcus looked up through the windshield. The warehouse was gone, nothing left but flames and twisted metal. Anyone inside would be dead. "He blew it up," Victoria whispered. "Oh my God, he blew up his own shipment." "He's destroying evidence," Marcus realized. "The drugs, the records, any witnesses who could testify against him. He's burning it all." Ellen's voice came through strained but controlled. "All units converge on Dock 7. We need emergency services now. And someone find Thomas Grant. I want him in custody within the hour." Marcus helped Victoria out of the vehicle. Fire trucks were already approaching, sirens wailing. Federal agents poured out of surrounding buildings, running toward the inferno that used to be a warehouse. "How did he know?" Victoria asked. She was shaking now, shock setting in. "How did he know we were coming?" "He has people everywhere. We knew that." Marcus guided her away from the fire, away from the chaos. "Someone tipped him off. Maybe someone in the police department, maybe a federal employee. It doesn't matter now." "Doesn't matter. People are dead because of this." "I know. And we're going to make sure their deaths mean something." He pulled out his phone, calling Sarah. She answered immediately. "Marcus, thank God. I heard the explosion. Are you two okay?" "We're fine, but Grant's in the wind. He knew we were coming." "Bastard. Ellen's putting out an APB, but if he's already running—" "He's not running. Not yet." Marcus thought quickly. "He's too arrogant to run. He thinks he's won. Thinks he destroyed all the evidence and scared us off." "So where is he?" Marcus looked at Victoria. Where would Thomas go if he thought he'd just won, if he thought he'd eliminated the threat? Victoria's eyes widened. His house. He has a mansion in the hills. He always said it was his fortress, his safe place. Sarah, you get that? Marcus asked. Got it. Sending the address to Ellen now. Ellen's voice cut through the radio. All available units converge on Thomas Grant's residence. Consider suspect armed and extremely dangerous. Do not engage without backup. Marcus turned to find Collins approaching his arm, still in a sling, but his weapon drawn. You two aren't going, Collins said firmly. The hell we're not, Victoria shot back. This ends tonight. Ms. Chen, you're a civilian. You have no training for this kind of situation. Let the professionals handle it. Those professionals just walked into a trap, Marcus said. Grant is always one step ahead because he knows how law enforcement thinks. But he doesn't know Victoria. He doesn't know what she's capable of. And what is she capable of? Victoria stepped forward. I'm capable of looking the man who murdered my father in the eyes and making sure he pays for what he's done. Now either give us a ride or get out of our way. Collins looked between them, then sighed. You're both insane. But fine. Get in. They climbed into Collins's SUV, joined by two other agents. The drive to Grant's mansion took 20 minutes through winding roads that climbed into the hills overlooking the city. The house came into view as they rounded a final curve, a sprawling estate with tall walls and security gates. Gates are open, Collins observed. That's not right. He slowed the vehicle, and they approached cautiously. The front door of the mansion hung open, light spilling onto the driveway. This feels wrong, one of the agents said. Marcus agreed. Could be another trap. Or he's already gone, Victoria said. We're too late. Only one way to find out. Collins parked the vehicle and they exited, weapons drawn. Marcus stayed close to Victoria as they approached the house. The foyer was massive, all marble and expensive art. Empty. They moved through the house room by room, clearing each space. Nothing. No guards, no staff, no Thomas Grant. He ran, Collins said. Probably has a dozen escape plans ready. But Marcus noticed something. A door at the end of the hall, slightly ajar, light coming from inside. There, he said quietly. They approached carefully. Collins went first, kicking the door fully open, gun raised. Clear, he called. Marcus and Victoria entered what appeared to be a private office, and sitting behind an antique desk, calm as could be, was Thomas Grant. He looked older than his photo's gray hair, perfectly styled, wearing an expensive suit. He smiled when he saw Victoria. My dear girl, he said warmly. I've been waiting for you. Victoria's hand tightened on Marcus's arm. You killed my father. I protected my interests. David was going to destroy everything I'd built. I gave him chances to walk away, to let things continue as they were. He refused. Thomas poured himself a drink from a crystal decanter. Would you like some scotch? It's quite good. You're under arrest, Collins said, moving forward. Thomas held up a hand. I don't think so. You see, I've been very careful over the years. The evidence you have, while extensive, isn't quite enough. Oh, it's damning, certainly. But my lawyers are very good. They'll tie this up in court for years. And by the time any trial concludes, I'll be an old man. Too old for prison. You blew up a warehouse full of people tonight, Marcus said. That's mass murder. Is it? I think you'll find that warehouse was empty. The explosion was a tragic accident. A gas leak, perhaps. Very unfortunate. Thomas sipped his scotch. And as for the drugs you expected to find there, well, there never were any drugs. Just your imagination, fed by paranoid delusions and forged documents. My father's evidence wasn't forged, Victoria said. Can you prove that in court beyond reasonable doubt when I have a dozen experts who will testify that the files were manufactured, when I have alibis for every date in question? Thomas smiled. I'm untouchable, Victoria. I always have been. Marcus felt Victoria trembling beside him, rage and grief warring in her expression. "You're wrong," she said quietly. "You're not untouchable." "Oh, and what makes you think that?" Victoria pulled something from her pocket, a small recording device. "Because my father didn't just document your crimes. He recorded conversations, hours and hours of you discussing the operation, planning shipments, ordering hits on people who got too close." She held up the device, "Including the conversation where you discussed killing him." Thomas's smile faltered. "That's not possible. I was careful. I always checked for surveillance." "You checked David for wires. You checked his phone. But you never checked his watch." Victoria's voice was steady now, strong. "He had a recording device built into his watch. Wore it every day for 6 months before he died. Every conversation, every meeting, all recorded. All time-stamped and verified." "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Victoria set the device on the desk and pressed play. Thomas's voice filled the room, clear and unmistakable. "David's becoming a problem. He knows too much. We need to handle it." Another voice, one Marcus didn't recognize. "How do you want it done?" "Make it look natural. Heart attack, stroke, something that won't raise suspicions. And do it soon, before he can talk to anyone else." Victoria stopped the recording. "That was 2 days before my father died. We have 30 hours of recordings like this. You discussing murders, drug deals, money laundering, all in your own voice, all verified by forensic audio analysis." Thomas's face had gone white. His hand shook as he set down his glass. "Where is it?" he demanded. "The original recordings. Where are they?" "Safe. Multiple copies in multiple locations. Even if you kill me right now, they'll still be found, still be used against you." Victoria leaned forward. "You lose Thomas. You lose everything." For a long moment, nobody moved. Thomas stared at Victoria with an expression Marcus couldn't read. Rage, fear, resignation. Then Thomas reached for the desk drawer. "Gun!" Marcus shouted, pulling Victoria back. Collins fired first 3 shots center mass. Thomas jerked back, blood blooming across his white shirt. The gun clattered from his hand onto the desk. Thomas slumped in his chair, gasping. "You stupid girl." He wheezed, blood bubbling at his lips. "You have no idea what you've done. The people above me, they won't stop. They'll keep coming. Forever." "Then we'll keep fighting," Victoria said. "For as long as it takes." Thomas laughed, a wet, terrible sound. "Your father said the same thing, right before I killed him." His eyes focused on Victoria. "He was proud of you, even at the end, even knowing you'd be next. He said you were strong enough to finish what he started." He was right. Thomas's breath rattled. Maybe he was. His eyes went glassy, fixed on something only he could see. Then he stopped breathing. Collins checked for a pulse, then shook his head. "He's gone." Victoria stood there staring at the man who'd killed her father, who'd tried to kill her, who'd corrupted everything her family had built. She should have felt satisfaction, victory, something. Instead, she just felt empty. "It's over," Marcus said quietly, taking her hand. "Is it?" "You heard what he said. There are others, people above him. And we'll find them. Using your father's evidence, the recordings, everything. We'll dismantle the entire network." He squeezed her hand. "But tonight, it's over. You did it. You brought him down." Victoria turned to face him, and suddenly she was crying. Not quiet tears, but deep, racking sobs that shook her entire body. Marcus pulled her close, holding her as she finally let out all the grief and fear and rage she'd been holding in. "I miss him so much," she sobbed into Marcus's chest. "I miss my father. I want to tell him what happened. I want him to know that I finished it, that I made Thomas pay. He knows." Marcus said, his own eyes burning with tears he wouldn't let fall. "Wherever he is, he knows, and he's proud of you." Collins stepped back, giving them privacy. The other agents secured the room, calling in the incident. Outside, sirens approached as more law enforcement arrived. But in that moment, it was just Marcus and Victoria, two people who'd lost too much holding on to each other in the aftermath of violence and justice. Eventually, Victoria pulled back, wiping her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to fall apart." "You didn't fall apart. You're allowed to grieve. You've earned it." What happens now? Now we give Ellen everything. The recordings, the evidence, all of it. She'll use it to prosecute everyone involved in the conspiracy. It'll take months, maybe years, but they'll all go down. "And us?" Victoria asked. "What happens to us?" Marcus looked at her, this woman he'd kissed to save her life. This woman he'd risked everything to protect. And he realized something. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I'd like to find out." Victoria smiled, fragile but real. "So would I." Ellen arrived 30 minutes later with a full forensics team. She took their statements, examined the scene, listened to the recordings Victoria had. Her expression grew darker with each revelation. "This is bigger than I thought," she said finally. "These recordings implicate senators, judges, police chiefs, half the city's power structure." "Can you prosecute them all?" Victoria asked. "With this evidence, absolutely. It'll be the biggest corruption case in decades." Ellen looked at Victoria with respect. "Your father was a remarkable man. He documented everything perfectly, built an airtight case, even while knowing it would cost him his life. He wanted justice, even if he couldn't see it himself. He's seeing it now, because of you." Ellen turned to Marcus. "You too, Reed. You could have walked away at any point. Most people would have." "I'm not most people." "No, you're not." Ellen's phone rang. She answered, listened, then smiled. "Your daughter's asking for you. She's at the safe house, worried about her dad. You should call her." Marcus stepped away, dialing the secure number Ellen had given him. Emma answered on the first ring. "Daddy?" Just hearing her voice made his chest tight. "Hey, sweetheart. I'm okay. Everything's okay. Aunt Lisa said there were bad people trying to hurt you. She said we had to hide. The bad people are gone now. You're safe. I'm safe." "When can I come home?" "Soon, baby. Very soon. I have to finish some things here, and then I'll come get you. I promise." "Okay." A pause. "Daddy? Are you a hero? Aunt Lisa said you saved someone's life." Marcus looked over at Victoria, who was talking with Ellen and Collins. "I did what I had to do. That's all." "That's what heroes do, though. They do what they have to do even when it's scary." Another pause. "Mom would be proud of you." Marcus's throat closed up. "You think so? I know so. She always said you were the bravest person she knew, and she was right." "I love you, Emma, more than anything in the world." "I love you too, Daddy. Come home soon." "I will. I promise." He hung up and stood there for a moment, composing himself. When he turned back, Victoria was watching him. "Your daughter?" she asked. "Yeah, she's safe. Wants to know when I'm coming to get her." "You should go. She needs her father." "I will, but not yet." He looked around the mansion at the crime scene tape and the investigators. "This isn't finished. There are still people to arrest, testimony to give, trials to prepare for. That could take months." "I know, but I made a promise to your father. I intend to keep it." Victoria stepped closer. "That promise was to protect me. You've done that. More than done that. You've given me justice for my father. You've saved my life twice. You don't owe me anything else." "Maybe not, but I'm staying anyway." "Why?" Marcus thought about that. About the kiss at the gala that had started everything. About the past 3 days of danger and revelation. About this woman who'd lost her father, but found the courage to fight back anyway. "Because I'm not ready to say goodbye yet," he said honestly. "Are you?" Victoria's smile was soft, genuine. "No, I'm not." They stood there in the midst of chaos and death and justice. Two people who'd found each other in the worst possible circumstances. Neither of them knew what would happen next. Neither of them knew if what they felt was real or just trauma bonding. But they both knew they wanted to find out. Ellen approached them. "We're going to be here for hours processing the scene. You two should go. Get some rest. We'll need full statements tomorrow, but for now you've done enough." "Where should we go?" Victoria asked. "My apartment's been compromised. The hotel's not safe." Sarah materialized from somewhere. "You're both staying at my house. No arguments. I've got guest rooms, clean clothes, and a refrigerator full of food, plus security that Thomas Grant's people don't know about." "You've done so much already," Victoria started. "And I'll do more. Now come on before I have to make it in order." They followed Sarah to her car, exhausted beyond words. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving nothing but bone-deep fatigue. Marcus sat in the back with Victoria, their hands intertwined. Neither of them spoke. There was nothing that needed to be said. As they drove through the city streets, past the burning warehouse, and the emergency vehicles, Marcus thought about his wife Sarah. About the 3 years he'd spent searching for answers. About the justice that had finally come, even if it was too late to bring her back. He thought about David Chen, who died trying to protect his daughter and expose corruption. About the bravery it took to stand up against powerful people even when you knew it would cost you everything. And he thought about Victoria, who'd honored her father's sacrifice by finishing what he started. Who'd faced down her father's murderer without flinching. Who'd proven that courage wasn't about not being afraid, it was about being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. "Thank you," Victoria said quietly, her head resting on his shoulder. "For everything." "You're welcome, but you did most of it yourself." "No, I couldn't have done any of it without you. You saved my life. You believed me when nobody else did. You risked everything to help me find the truth. Your father would have done the same for my daughter, for any child who needed protecting. Maybe. But you're the one who was there. You're the one who acted." She lifted her head, looking at him in the darkness of the car. "You're the one who kissed me and nearly died doing it." Marcus remembered that moment, the taste of champagne and poison, the terror of not knowing if he'd survive, the determination to save her at any cost. "I'd do it again," he said. "In a heartbeat." "I know, that's what scares me." "Scares you? You're willing to die for people. That's admirable, Marcus. But it's also terrifying. Because someday you might actually succeed. I have a daughter to live for. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon." "Good, because I'm not planning on losing anyone else I care about." The words hung between them, heavy with implication. Victoria cared about him. And he realized with a jolt of surprise that he cared about her too. Not just as someone he'd sworn to protect, but as a person. A woman. Someone he wanted to know better, wanted to spend time with, wanted to see, smile. "We should talk," he said. "About what happens next. About us." "We should, but not tonight." Victoria settled back against him. "Tonight, let's just be grateful we're both alive. Tomorrow we can figure out the rest." Sarah pulled into her driveway and they went inside. She showed Victoria to the guest room, gave Marcus blankets for the couch. "You two going to be okay?" Sarah asked Marcus quietly. "I think so. Eventually. She's a good woman, strong, like her father." "I know. And you're a good man. You've been alone too long, Marcus. Maybe it's time to let someone in." "Maybe, but it's complicated." "It always is. That's what makes it worth it." Sarah squeezed his shoulder. "Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be a long day." She left, and Marcus lay on the couch in the darkness, thinking about everything that had happened. 3 days ago, he'd been just a man trying to survive, trying to be a good father, trying to honor his late wife's memory. Now he'd helped bring down a massive criminal conspiracy, saved a woman's life twice, and found himself caring about someone for the first time in 3 years. Sarah was right. It was complicated. But maybe that was okay. Maybe complicated was better than empty. Maybe caring about someone even with all the risk and uncertainty was better than being alone. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. "Can't sleep. Too much adrenaline. You awake?" He texted back. "Yeah, same problem. Want to talk?" He got up and went to her room, knocking softly. She opened the door, wearing borrowed pajamas, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked younger, without the corporate armor, more vulnerable. "Come in," she said. They sat on the bed, backs against the headboard, comfortable silence between them. "I keep replaying it," Victoria said finally. "The moment Thomas died. I thought I'd feel something, relief, satisfaction, closure. But I just feel tired." "That's normal. Revenge doesn't feel the way people think it will." "Did you feel this way when you found out the truth about your wife's death?" Marcus thought about it. "I felt validated. Like I'd been right all along, that it hadn't been an accident. But it didn't bring Sarah back. Didn't make the past 3 years any easier. The truth doesn't change what was lost." "Then what was the point? Why did we do all this?" "Because it needed to be done. Because other people would have been hurt if we didn't stop Thomas. Because your father deserved justice, and so did my wife, and so do all the other victims of this conspiracy." He looked at her. "The point isn't to feel better. It's to do better. To be better." Victoria nodded slowly. "My father used to say something similar. He said that doing the right thing wasn't about reward or recognition. It was about being able to look at yourself in the mirror and not be ashamed." He was a wise man. I wish I'd told him that more often. I wish I'd listened to him more, appreciated him more. Her voice cracked. I wish I had one more day with him. What would you say if you had that day? I'd tell him I'm sorry for the arguments. I'd tell him I understand now why he was so protective, so careful about the company. I'd tell him I love him and I'm proud to be his daughter. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And I'd tell him he did a good job raising me. That I'll make sure his legacy lives on in the right way. He knows all that. Parents know. They sat quietly for a while longer. Then Victoria asked, "What about you? What would you tell your wife if you had one more day?" Marcus had to think about that. He'd spent 3 years having imaginary conversations with Sarah, but he'd never really considered what he'd say if given one final chance. I'd tell her I'm sorry I couldn't save her. I'd tell her I've tried to be a good father to Emma even though I've made mistakes. I'd tell her that Emma is growing up strong and kind and smart just like her mother. He paused. And I'd tell her that it's okay if I move on, that she'd want me to be happy. Do you think she would? Yes. Sarah was never possessive or jealous. She wanted me to have a full life, even if she couldn't be part of it. He looked at Victoria. She'd like you, I think. Admire your courage, your determination. I'd like to think I would have liked her too. The moment stretched between them, heavy with possibility. Then Victoria said, "Kiss me." Marcus froze. "What? Kiss me. Not to save my life this time. Not because there's poison or danger or any external reason. Just kiss me because you want to, if you want to." "Victoria, I don't think... I need to know if this is real. If what I'm feeling is real, or just gratitude and trauma and proximity." She turned to face him fully. "Please, kiss me so I know." Marcus looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who'd trusted him when she had no reason to, who'd fought alongside him against impossible odds, who'd proven herself brave and strong and worthy of admiration. And he realized he did want to kiss her, not to save her life, but simply because she was remarkable and beautiful and looking at him like he mattered. So he did. This kiss was nothing like the first one. No poison, no desperation, no audience. Just two people finding comfort in each other after shared trauma. It was soft, tentative questioning. And it felt right. When they pulled apart, Victoria smiled. Okay, it's real. Yeah, it's real. So what do we do about it? We take it slow. We figure things out as we go. We don't rush or force anything. Marcus touched her face gently. We've both lost too much to risk what we might be building here. Agreed. Slow is good. Victoria leaned against him. But not too slow. I've wasted enough time being alone. So have I. They sat together as the night deepened, not talking, just being present with each other. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus felt something other than grief and determination. He felt hope. Morning came with the smell of coffee and the sound of Sarah's voice on the phone in the kitchen. Marcus woke on the couch with a crick in his neck and the immediate memory of last night flooding back. The kiss. The conversation. The tentative hope that maybe, just maybe, something good could come from all this darkness. Victoria emerged from the guest room looking better than she had any right to after everything they'd been through. She'd showered and changed into more of Sarah's borrowed clothes, her hair still damp. "Morning," she said softly. "Morning. Sleep okay?" "Better than I expected." She sat beside him on the couch. "You?" "Same." They looked at each other, and Marcus saw his own uncertainty reflected in her eyes. Last night had felt real, felt right. But in the harsh light of morning, with so much still unresolved, neither of them quite knew what to say. Sarah saved them by calling out from the kitchen. "Coffee's ready, and Ellen's on her way over. Said she needs statements from both of you." They moved into the kitchen, accepting mugs of coffee gratefully. Sarah had made eggs and toast, practical food for people who'd forgotten to eat properly for days. "How are you two holding up?" Sarah asked, studying them with a detective's eye. "We're okay," Victoria said, "all things considered." "Ellen said the recordings you had are gold. She's already started the process of bringing charges against everyone involved. Senators, judges, police officials. It's going to be a bloodbath." Marcus sipped his coffee. "Good. They deserve it." She also said Thomas Grant's death is being ruled justifiable homicide. Collins acted appropriately given Grant's attempt to draw a weapon. There'll be an inquiry, but it's a formality. Victoria set down her fork. "I still can't believe he's dead. Part of me thought he'd find some way to escape. He always did before." "Not this time," Sarah said firmly. "This time he faced consequences." The doorbell rang. Sarah went to answer it, returning with Ellen Martinez and 2 federal agents. Ellen looked like she hadn't slept, but her eyes were bright with the energy of someone close to a major victory. "Victoria, Marcus, we need to talk about what comes next." Ellen accepted coffee from Sarah and sat at the table. "The evidence you provided is going to dismantle one of the largest criminal organizations we've ever seen. But that means you're both material witnesses in multiple federal cases." "What does that mean for us?" Marcus asked. "It means protection for one thing. Thomas Grant's network extends beyond just the people we've identified. There could be others who want to silence you before trial." Victoria straightened. "How long would we need protection?" "Months at least, possibly longer depending on how the cases proceed." Ellen pulled out a folder. "I'm recommending both of you enter witness protection until we've secured convictions on the primary conspirators." "No," Victoria said immediately. "I have a company to run, thousands of employees depending on me. I can't just disappear." "Your company can function without you for a while." "It's not just about the company. It's about my father's legacy. If I run and hide, Thomas wins. He corrupts everything my father built, and I let it happen because I was scared." Ellen's expression softened. "I understand, but—" "No, you don't." Victoria's voice was calm but firm. "My father died standing up to these people. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He faced them head on, and yes, it cost him his life. But he died knowing he did the right thing. I owe him the same courage." "Courage doesn't mean stupidity," Ellen argued. "Your father would want you alive." "My father would want me to finish what he started, to clean up his company, to protect his employees, to make sure his work mattered." Victoria looked at Marcus. "You understand, don't you?" Marcus did understand. He'd felt the same way after Sarah's death, the need to keep going to make her sacrifice mean something. But he also knew the danger Victoria would be facing. "I understand," he said slowly. "But Ellen's right about the risk. These people won't stop just because Thomas is dead." "Then help me." Victoria turned back to Ellen. "Give me security, protection that works around my life instead of requiring me to abandon it. I'll cooperate fully with the investigation, testify at every trial. Do whatever you need. But I'm not disappearing." Ellen looked at Marcus. "Can you talk sense into her?" "Have you met her? She's as stubborn as her father." But Marcus was already thinking through possibilities. "What if we compromise? Victoria stays visible but controlled. Limited public appearances, secured locations, constant protection. She can run the company remotely for most things, only go into the office when absolutely necessary." "And who provides this security?" Ellen asked. "Federal resources are stretched thin." "I do." Marcus met her eyes. "It's what David Chen hired me for originally. Let me finish the job. You're one man. So we expand the team. Bring in people I trust. Former FBI Secret Service people who know how to handle high-level protection." Victoria reached for his hand under the table. "You'd do that? Stay with me through all of this?" "Yes. It could be months, maybe a year or more." "I know. And Emma? Your daughter needs you." Marcus had thought about this through the night. "Emma's safe in Colorado for now. My sister loves having her and Emma's in a good school. I can visit regularly, bring her here sometimes when it's secure. She'll understand. She always has." Ellen looked between them, and Marcus saw the moment she recognized something deeper than just witness protection. Her expression shifted, became more thoughtful. "You two are involved," she said. Not a question. Victoria didn't deny it. "Is that a problem?" "It's complicated. Defense attorneys could argue bias, claim you're coordinating testimony." Ellen drummed her fingers on the table. "But your recordings are independently verified. Your father's documentation is ironclad. Your personal relationship doesn't change the evidence." "So we can do this?" Marcus asked. "Against my better judgment, yes." Ellen pulled out papers. "But there are conditions. Victoria, you agree to limited movement, secured locations, and constant protection. Marcus, you work with my office. Check-in daily report, any threats coordinate with federal security. Any violation, and you both go into witness protection. Non-negotiable." "Agreed," they said in unison. Ellen shook her head. "You're both crazy, but okay, we'll try it your way." They spent the next 3 hours giving detailed statements about everything that had happened. The gala, the poisoning, the investigation, the confrontation with Thomas. Ellen recorded every word asked, probing questions, made them repeat details until she was satisfied. By the time she left, it was nearly noon. Marcus's phone rang. His sister. "Marcus, thank God. I've been trying to reach you all morning." "Sorry, Lisa. I was in meetings. Everything okay with Emma?" "She's fine. But she's asking when you're coming to get her. She misses you." Guilt twisted in Marcus's stomach. "I miss her too. But I need a few more days here. Is that okay?" "Of course. But Marcus, what's really going on?" "The federal agents won't tell me anything except that you're safe, and I should keep Emma here." Marcus moved into the other room for privacy. "I can't give you details, but I'm working on something important. Something that's going to take a while to resolve. Emma's safer with you right now." "Should I be worried?" "No, the immediate danger's past, but there are still loose ends to tie up." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "This is about Sarah, isn't it? About what happened to her?" "Partly, yeah." Did you find out who did it? Yes. And justice was served. Marcus's voice went flat. But there are others. People who were part of it. They're being arrested, prosecuted. It's going to take time. Okay. We'll stay here as long as you need. But Marcus, be careful. Emma's already lost her mother. She can't lose you too. I know. I'm being careful. I promise. And this woman the agents mentioned, Victoria Chen. Who is she? Marcus should have known Lisa would dig. She'd always been protective, always needed to know everything. She's someone I'm helping, someone who's in danger because of the same people who killed Sarah. And nothing. I'm protecting her, that's all. Marcus, I've known you your whole life. I can hear it in your voice. There's something more there. He couldn't lie to his sister. Maybe. I don't know yet. It's complicated. It always is with you. But her voice was warm. Just don't shut yourself off. Sarah wouldn't want you to be alone forever. Everyone keeps telling me that. Because it's true. You're allowed to be happy again, Marcus. You're allowed to move on. I'll keep that in mind. Kiss Emma for me. Tell her I love her. I will. Stay safe, little brother. He hung up and found Victoria waiting in the doorway. Everything okay? She asked. Emma's fine. Asking when I'm coming to get her. You should go. See her. You've been away from her too long already. Marcus wanted to. Missed Emma with an ache that never fully went away. But he also knew that leaving Victoria now when the situation was still volatile would be abandoning his promise to David Chen. I will, soon. But not yet. Victoria stepped closer. I don't want to come between you and your daughter. You're not. Emma's safe and happy. She understands that sometimes my work takes me away. Does she? She's 8 years old, Marcus. Her mother's dead. She needs her father. I know that. And I'm balancing as best I can. But right now, you need protection. And I'm the best person to provide it. Why? Because of some promise you made to my father. No. Because I care about you. The words came out more forcefully than Marcus intended. Because the thought of something happening to you, of not being there to stop it, makes me physically sick. Because in 3 days, you've become important to me in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. Victoria's eyes widened. Marcus. I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. I know there are 100 reasons why we should slow down and be careful. But I'm tired of being careful. I'm tired of living half a life because I'm afraid of losing someone again. What are you saying? I'm saying I want this, whatever this is between us. I want to see where it goes. And yes, I'll protect you because it's my job, but also because I care about you. Because you matter. Victoria closed the distance between them, taking his face in her hands. I care about you too. More than I should after only 3 days. More than makes any logical sense. So, what do? We be honest. With each other, with ourselves. We don't pretend this is just professional. We acknowledge that it's messy and complicated, and probably a terrible idea timing-wise. She smiled. And then we figure it out anyway. Marcus kissed her, and this time there was no hesitation, no questioning. Just certainty that whatever chaos surrounded them, this felt right. Sarah cleared her throat from the kitchen. Sorry to interrupt, but Collins is here. Says there's been a development. They broke apart, and Marcus felt the shift back to business. Collins entered, his face grim. What happened? Marcus asked. One of the people on David Chen's list was found dead this morning. Senator Morrison. Apparent suicide. Convenient, Victoria said coldly. Let me guess. He left a note confessing to everything. Actually, no note, just a gunshot wound to the head. But his computer had files open, financial records showing his connection to the money laundering operation. Marcus's instincts prickled. Someone's cleaning house, making sure co-conspirators can't testify. That's what Ellen thinks too. She's putting protection on everyone else identified in the recordings, But it's a long list, and we don't have infinite resources. How many people are we talking about? Victoria asked. 47 directly implicated. Another 100 or so with tangential connections. Collins pulled out his tablet showing them names and photos. Most are cooperating in exchange for reduced sentences, but some are lawyering up, refusing to talk. Marcus scanned the list. Politicians, business leaders, law enforcement officials. The conspiracy ran deeper than he'd imagined. Any of these people have the resources to organize hits on the others, he asked. Several. But the most likely candidate is this woman. Collins highlighted a photo. Catherine Winters, CEO of Nexus Pharmaceuticals. She's the one who was supplying the illegal drugs. According to the financial records, she's made over $300 million from the operation. Have you brought her in for questioning? We tried. She's disappeared. Left the country 2 days ago. Private jet to Switzerland. Then her trail goes cold. Switzerland doesn't extradite for most crimes, Victoria said. She could stay there indefinitely. That's what she's counting on. But Ellen's working diplomatic channels. We might be able to pressure the Swiss government into cooperation. Marcus studied Catherine Winters' photo. Mid-50s, severe features, cold eyes. Everything about her screamed dangerous. She won't stay hidden forever, he said. People like her can't resist control. She'll reach out to her remaining assets, try to maintain her operation. Which is why we're monitoring every communication channel she's ever used. Phone, email, everything. Collins put away the tablet. Meanwhile, you two need to stay vigilant. If Catherine decides you're a threat, she has the resources to act on it. After Collins left, Victoria sat down heavily. This isn't over. Even with Thomas dead, even with all the evidence, it's not over. No, but we're winning. Each arrest, each conviction, we're dismantling the network piece by piece. And if Catherine Winters decides to fight back, if she sends someone after us, then we deal with it, together. Victoria looked at him. You're not worried? I'm terrified, but fear doesn't change what needs to be done. Sarah brought them lunch, and they ate mechanically while discussing security protocols. Sarah had contacts, people who could help create a secure environment for Victoria. Marcus called in favors from his FBI days, putting together a team of professionals he trusted. By evening, they had a plan. Victoria would move into a secured property Sarah had access to through a friend, a house in a gated community with excellent security. Marcus would stay with her along with a rotating team of guards. The location would be kept secret, even from most of Ellen's office. It's not perfect, Marcus admitted, but it's better than being exposed. How long do we have to live like this? Victoria asked. Until Catherine Winters is caught, until the trials are over, until the threat passes. He took her hand. However long it takes. That night they moved to the secure house. It was comfortable, but anonymous, the kind of place that could belong to anyone. 3 bedrooms, a kitchen, a living room with blinds that stayed closed, guards stationed outside, cameras monitoring every entrance. Prison, Marcus thought. A comfortable prison, but prison nonetheless. Victoria seemed to read his mind. My father lived like this at the end. Scared to go out, scared to trust anyone. I hated seeing him like that. It's temporary. Is it? Thomas is dead, but there are others. There will always be others. Catherine Winters now, but who after her? When does it end? Marcus didn't have an answer. In his experience, it didn't end. Evil wasn't a finite resource. Take down one corrupt organization and another rose to replace it. But he couldn't tell Victoria that, not when she was already struggling with the reality of their situation. We focus on what we can control, he said instead. Stay safe. Build the case. Put these people away. The rest will work itself out. Victoria nodded, but he could see doubt in her eyes. They settled into an uneasy routine. Victoria worked remotely, video conferencing with her executives, making decisions about the company from behind secured internet connections. Marcus coordinated with Ellen's team, reviewing evidence, preparing for the trials that would eventually come. At night they talked. about their pasts, their fears, their hopes, about what might happen when this was all over, if it ever was over. "I keep thinking about that kiss at the gala," Victoria said one night. They were sitting on the couch, the house quiet around them. "The way you didn't hesitate. The way you were willing to die for me without even knowing me. I knew enough. Your father trusted you. That was enough for me." Was it really that simple? Marcus thought about it. In that moment, yes. I saw a threat, and I neutralized it. Training kicked in. I didn't think about consequences. "And now, if you had to do it again, knowing everything we've been through, would you?" "Yes, every time." Victoria leaned against him. "I don't deserve you. That's not how this works. You don't deserve tragedy or danger either, but you got them anyway. Life doesn't care about deserve. Then what does it care about? Choices. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. You chose to honor your father's memory by fighting back. That's what matters. And you chose to help me, even though it meant leaving your daughter, risking your life, upending everything. Some choices are easy, even when they're hard." They sat in comfortable silence, and Marcus felt something settle in his chest. Peace, maybe, or at least the promise of it. His phone rang. Ellen. "We've got her," Ellen said without preamble. "Catherine Winters. Swiss authorities arrested her 2 hours ago. She's being extradited tomorrow." Marcus felt adrenaline spike. "How'd you manage that?" "She made a mistake. Tried to access one of her accounts through a Swiss bank. We had it flagged. Swiss government cooperated once we showed them evidence of international drug trafficking." "That's good news." "It's great news. With her in custody, the remaining conspirators will lose their nerve. We're expecting a wave of cooperation offers." Ellen paused. "It's almost over, Marcus. A few more weeks of trials, and you can both go back to your normal lives." Normal lives. Marcus barely remembered what that felt like. "Thanks for the update," he said. After he hung up, Victoria looked at him expectantly. He told her about Catherine's arrest and watched hope bloom on her face. "It's really almost over?" she asked. "Looks like it." "And then what? You go back to Emma. I go back to running my company. We just go back to how things were before." "Before we met, you mean?" "Yes." Marcus turned to face her fully. "Is that what you want?" "No, but I don't know what else there is. You have a daughter in Colorado. I have a company that needs me. Our lives don't exactly align." "They could, if we wanted them to." "How?" "You have offices in Denver. You mentioned that once. You could split time between there and here. I could bring Emma back and roll her in school here. We could figure out the logistics." "You'd uproot your daughter for me." "For us. For the possibility of us." Marcus took her hands. "I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm not saying there wouldn't be complications. But I'm saying I want to try. If you do." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I'm scared. Everything I've cared about, everyone I've loved, I've lost them. My mother, my father. What if I lose you too?" "You might. There are no guarantees in life, but the alternative is living scared. Living small, living alone. I did that for 3 years after Sarah died. I don't want to do it anymore." "What if Emma doesn't like me?" "She'll love you. You're smart, strong, and you care about making the world better. What's not to love?" Victoria laughed through her tears. "You make it sound simple." "It is simple. Not easy, but simple. We care about each other. We want to see where this goes. So we do. We figure out the details as we go." "Okay. Okay. Yes, let's try. Let's figure it out." Victoria kissed him, and Marcus felt the last of his reservations dissolve. They had time now. Time to build something real, something lasting. Time to heal from their respective traumas and create new memories that weren't soaked in grief. Time to live again. The next morning, Marcus called Emma. "Hey, sweetheart. How would you feel about coming home?" "Really, when?" "Next week. I'll come get you, and we'll drive back together. Will the bad people be gone? Yes, they've been caught. You're safe. We're all safe. Okay, good. A pause. Daddy, Aunt Lisa says you met someone, a lady you're helping. Marcus smiled. I did. Her name's Victoria. Is she nice? Very nice. Smart and brave too. Are you going to marry her? The question caught him off guard. I don't know, baby. We just met. But I'd like you to meet her. Would that be okay? I guess, as long as she's nice to you. She is. Very nice. Then I want to meet her. Can she come when you pick me up? Marcus looked over at Victoria, who was watching him with a question in her eyes. He mouthed, Emma wants to meet you. Victoria's face lit up, and she nodded. Yes, Marcus told his daughter. Victoria will come with me. We'll both pick you up. Okay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything. After he hung up, Victoria asked, Are you sure about this meeting Emma is a big step? I'm sure. She's going to love you. How do you know? Because I do, and Emma and I have excellent taste. Victoria laughed, and Marcus realized he could listen to that sound for the rest of his life and never get tired of it. They had a week before picking up Emma. A week to finish coordinating with Ellen's office to wrap up loose ends to prepare for the trials that would begin in a few months. A week to plan their future together. It wasn't perfect. Nothing ever would be. They both carried scars, both had lost too much. But maybe that was okay. Maybe broken people could build something beautiful together. Maybe love wasn't about finding someone perfect, but finding someone worth fighting for. Marcus had fought for Victoria, had risked his life, had kissed her to save her, had stayed by her side through danger and darkness. And now, finally, they could stop fighting and start living. Together. The drive to Colorado took 2 days, and Marcus used every mile to prepare Victoria for meeting Emma. They stopped at roadside diners and cheap motels, living like normal people for the first time since the gala. No security detail, no federal protection, just 2 people on a road trip. What if she hates me? Victoria asked somewhere in Kansas, staring out at endless cornfields. She won't. You can't know that. I've never been around kids. I don't know how to talk to them. You talk to them like people. Emma's smart. She'll see through anything fake. Marcus glanced over at her. Just be yourself. That's all she needs. Myself is a workaholic CEO who just helped take down a criminal conspiracy. Not exactly relatable for an 8-year-old. Yourself is also someone who fought for justice, who honored her father's memory, who didn't back down when things got scary. Emma will respect that. Victoria was quiet for a moment. What if she sees me as trying to replace her mother? She won't. Emma knows nobody can replace Sarah, but she also knows her dad's been alone for 3 years. She wants me to be happy. Does she? Or is that what you want to believe? Marcus had to think about that. She's said it, multiple times. Told me I smile more now than I have in years. Asked me if I was going to marry you before we'd even defined what we are. What are we? I don't know yet, but I'd like to find out. They pulled into Lisa's driveway late afternoon on the second day. The house was a modest ranch in a quiet neighborhood, exactly the kind of place where a kid could ride bikes and play in sprinklers. Emma burst out the front door before Marcus had even turned off the engine. Daddy? He barely got out of the car before she launched herself at him. 8 years old and already almost to his chest, all gangly limbs and uncontrolled energy. Marcus caught her lifting her up the way he had when she was small. Hey, sweetheart. I missed you. I missed you too. Are you okay? Aunt Lisa said you were in danger. I'm fine. Everything's fine now. He set her down and turned to Victoria, who was standing by the car looking uncertain. Emma, this is Victoria. Victoria, this is my daughter Emma. Emma studied Victoria with the unflinching directness only children possess. You're pretty, Dad said you were pretty. Victoria blushed. Thank you. Your dad's told me a lot about you too. He says you want to be a veterinarian. I do. I love animals. Do you like animals? I do actually. My father and I used to have a golden retriever named Murphy. He was the best dog. What happened to him? He passed away a few years ago, old age. But he had a good life. Emma nodded solemnly. My mom died too. Not from old age though, she was in an accident. Marcus tensed, ready to intervene, but Victoria handled it perfectly. I know. Your dad told me. I'm sorry. My father died too not long ago. It's hard, isn't it? Really hard. Especially because I didn't get to say goodbye. Me neither. I wish I had. Emma looked at Victoria with new understanding. Did your dad know you loved him? Yes, and your mom knew you loved her too. How do you know? Because parents always know. Even when we don't say it enough, they know. Emma thought about that, then nodded. Okay, I like you. You can come inside. Lisa appeared on the porch laughing. Well, that was easier than I expected. Emma's been nervous about meeting you all week. I wasn't nervous, Emma protested. I was just being careful. Dad says it's important to be careful about new people. And you were very careful, Marcus said, following them inside. Very thorough investigation. They spent the evening at Lisa's house, eating dinner and catching up. Emma showed Victoria her room, her books, her collection of stuffed animals that she was supposedly too old for, but couldn't bear to pack away. Victoria listened with genuine interest, asking questions about Emma's school and friends and the volunteer work at the animal shelter. Marcus watched them together and felt something loosen in his chest. Emma was comfortable laughing, being herself. And Victoria was relaxed in a way he hadn't seen before, not performing or managing or protecting herself. Just being present with a child who had no agenda, no expectations beyond honesty and kindness. After Emma went to bed, Lisa poured wine for the adults, and they sat on the back porch. She likes you, Lisa told Victoria. Emma doesn't warm up to people easily, not since Sarah died. She's a wonderful kid. You can tell she's been loved. Marcus has done a good job, better than he gives himself credit for. Lisa looked at her brother. You seem different, lighter somehow. I feel different. Because of Victoria. Because of a lot of things. Closure about Sarah. Justice for David Chen. But yes, because of Victoria too. Lisa turned to Victoria. Are you good for him? Because if you're not, if you're going to hurt him, I'd rather know now. Lisa. Marcus started, but Victoria held up a hand. It's okay. She has a right to ask. Victoria met Lisa's eyes. I don't know if I'm good for him. I hope I am. What I can tell you is that I care about Marcus more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. And I would never deliberately hurt him or Emma. Deliberately is an interesting qualifier. Because I might hurt him anyway, not on purpose, but through my own damage, my own issues. I lost my father. I've been alone for a long time. I don't know if I know how to be with someone. Victoria's voice was steady, honest. But I want to try. I want to figure it out. And I'll do everything I can to be worthy of the trust Marcus is putting in me. Lisa studied her for a long moment, then nodded. That's all I needed to hear. Welcome to the family, Victoria, such as it is. They left the next morning, Emma chattering excitedly about going home, about seeing her friends, about starting back at her regular school. Victoria sat in the back with her, and Marcus listened to them talk through the rear-view mirror. Do you have kids? Emma asked. No, I never had time. I was always working. That's sad. Kids are cool. I'm starting to realize that. Are you going to marry my dad? Marcus almost drove off the road. Victoria handled it with more grace. I don't know. We haven't known each other very long. Marriage is a big decision. But you like him, right? I do. Very much. And he likes you. I can tell because he smiles when he looks at you. He used to not smile much after Mom died, but now he does. I'm glad. Your dad deserves to smile. Yeah, he's a good dad. Even when he's sad, he still takes care of me. He makes my lunch and helps with homework and comes to my school stuff. He tries really hard. Marcus's throat tightened. He'd worried so much about whether he was doing enough being enough for Emma. Hearing her defend him to Victoria, hearing the love in her voice made him realize she understood. She'd always understood. He loves you very much, Victoria said softly. He talks about you constantly. You're the most important thing in his life. I know, but I think maybe now you're important too. And that's okay. I want Dad to be happy. Mom would want that too. They stopped for lunch at a diner somewhere in Missouri. Emma excused herself to the bathroom, and Victoria looked at Marcus with tears in her eyes. She's incredible. You've done such a good job with her. I've done my best. Some days that felt like enough. Some days it didn't. She thinks the world of you. She told me in the car that you're her hero. Marcus felt emotion well up. She said that, yes, and she's right. You are a hero. Mine too. I just did what needed to be done. You saved my life. Twice. You helped me get justice for my father. You stayed by my side when you could have walked away a dozen times. Victoria reached across the table, taking his hand. You're a hero, Marcus. Accept it. Emma returned before he could respond, sliding back into the booth with a chocolate shake she'd somehow convinced the waitress to give her. Can we get a dog? She asked, attacking the shake with enthusiasm. What brought this on? Victoria said she used to have a dog. I want one too. I could take care of it. Walk it every day. Feed it. Everything. Marcus looked at Victoria, who shrugged innocently. I may have mentioned that Murphy was great with kids. You're already corrupting my daughter. Is that a yes about the dog? Emma asked hopefully. We'll talk about it. After we get settled back home. That means no, Emma said to Victoria. When he says we'll talk about it, it always means no. Not always. Sometimes it means maybe. Really, but you have to be patient and responsible and show him you're ready for the responsibility. Emma considered this. Okay, I can do that. They finished lunch and continued driving. Emma fell asleep in the back seat and Victoria moved to the front passenger seat. Thank you, Marcus said quietly. For what? For being so good with her. For understanding what she needs. For not trying too hard or being fake. She makes it easy. She's a special kid. She is. And she likes you. A lot. I like her too. I didn't expect to, not this much. But she's funny and smart and so open-hearted. After everything she's been through, losing her mother, having her life disrupted, she's still capable of trust and love. That's remarkable. Kids are resilient. More than we give them credit for. Maybe. Or maybe she's resilient because she has you. Because you showed her how to keep going even when things are hard. They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Victoria said, I've been thinking about what Emma asked. About us getting married. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. We don't have to talk about that yet. I know, but I want to. Because I need you to understand something. She turned to face him. I've never wanted marriage. Never wanted kids. I was married to my work, to building my career, to living up to my father's legacy. The idea of a relationship of commitment terrified me. And now I'm still terrified. But I also can't imagine my life without you in it, without Emma in it. You've both become so important to me in such a short time that it scares me. Victoria. Let me finish. I don't know if I'll be good at this. At being part of a family, at being someone Emma can count on, at being the partner you deserve. But I want to try. I want to build something real with you. Not because I'm trying to replace what you had with Sarah, but because what we have is its own thing, something new and different and worth fighting for. Marcus pulled the car over parking on the shoulder. He turned to face her fully. "I love you," he said. "I didn't plan to. Didn't think I was capable of it after Sarah. But I do. I love you." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too. God help me, I do." They kissed, and it felt like a promise. Not of perfection, but of commitment. Not of easy, but of worth it. Emma's voice came from the back seat. "Are you guys done being mushy because I'm awake, and it's kind of gross?" They laughed, breaking apart. Marcus pulled back onto the highway, and Victoria reached back to squeeze Emma's hand. "How long have you been awake?" Victoria asked. "Long enough to hear the good stuff. So does this mean we're going to be a family?" Marcus and Victoria exchanged a look. "Yes," Marcus said. "I think it does." "Cool. Can we still get a dog?" "We'll talk about it." "That means maybe now, right?" "That means maybe." They arrived home late that night. The house felt different, fuller somehow, with Victoria and Emma both there. Emma gave Victoria the tour, chattering about which room could be hers, if she stayed over sometimes, where they could put a dog bed if they got a dog, how the backyard was perfect for barbecues. Marcus watched them together and felt grateful. Not just for surviving the past week, not just for justice being served, but for this. For the possibility of building something good from the ashes of tragedy. After Emma was asleep, Marcus and Victoria sat on the back porch with beer and exhaustion. "Ellen called while you were putting Emma to bed," Victoria said. "The first trial starts in 3 weeks. She wants us both there to testify." "How do you feel about that?" "Nervous, angry, ready." She took a sip of beer. "I want to look those people in the eye and tell them what they took from me. From all of us. It won't bring your father back. I know. But it'll honor his memory. It'll make sure his death meant something." Marcus understood that need. He'd felt it for 3 years with Sarah. "What happens after the trials?" he asked. "After all of this is finally over?" "I don't know. I need to figure out the company. My father built it with integrity, and Thomas corrupted that. I need to rebuild, to make it something we can both be proud of again. That'll take time. Years, probably. But I'm committed to it." She looked at him. "And I want you with me. Not as my bodyguard, but as my partner. In the company, in life, in everything. I'm not a businessman. No, but you're good at seeing what others miss, at finding problems and solving them. The company needs someone like that, someone who can't be bought or intimidated, someone with integrity. I have a daughter to think about." "I know. And I'm not asking you to choose. I'm asking you to consider a life where you can have both. Where Emma is safe and loved and cared for. Where you have meaningful work. Where we build something together." Marcus thought about it. About walking away from private security work, about stepping into a corporate role, about building a life with Victoria that didn't involve constant danger. "Okay," he said. "Let's try it." "Really? Really? But on one condition." "What's that?" "We get Emma a dog." Victoria laughed, bright and genuine. "Deal." They spent the next 3 weeks preparing for trial. Ellen's case was ironclad, built on David Chen's meticulous documentation and the recordings Victoria had. Witness after witness took the stand, detailing the conspiracy, the money laundering, the deaths. Marcus testified about his wife's murder, about the investigation that had led nowhere until David Chen reached out, about the connections he'd found between Sarah's case and the pharmaceutical companies. Victoria testified about her father, about his final weeks, about the fear she'd seen in his eyes, and not understood until it was too late. About finding his letter in the safe deposit box, about the recordings, about everything Thomas Grant had confessed before he died. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all counts for all defendants. Catherine Winters got life in prison without parole. The others received sentences ranging from 20 to 40 years. Ellen called Marcus after the verdicts came in. "We did it. We actually did it." David Chen did it. "We just finished what he started." Either way, it's done. The conspiracy is dismantled. The network is destroyed. You can both move on with your lives now. Thank you, Ellen, for everything. Thank you, both of you, for trusting me, for fighting back, for proving that justice is still possible. Marcus hung up and found Victoria standing in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "It's over," she whispered. "It's really over." He pulled her close, holding her as she cried. These weren't tears of sadness, but of relief, of closure, of grief finally being allowed to transform into something else. "Your father would be so proud of you," Marcus said. "I hope so. I hope he knows. He knows." They stood there for a long time, just holding each other. Then Emma appeared fresh from school, launching into a story about her day. And life, normal and mundane and beautiful, continued. 6 months later, Marcus stood in Victoria's father's old office at Chen Enterprises. It was his office now, redecorated, but still honoring David Chen's memory. Photos of the old man lined the walls, reminders of what they were fighting to preserve. Victoria appeared in the doorway, elegant in a business suit, every inch the CEO. "Board meeting in 10 minutes. You ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be." She crossed to him, straightening his tie. "You've done great work these past months. The board trusts you. The employees trust you. My father would have liked you. I would have liked to meet him. He knew you in a way. He knew the kind of man you were, or he wouldn't have reached out." She kissed him softly. "Come on, let's go show them how to run an honest company." The board meeting went well. Marcus presented his findings on corporate oversight, new protocols to prevent the kind of corruption Thomas Grant had introduced. The board approved everything unanimously. After the meeting, Victoria's assistant reminded her about the charity gala that evening, the same gala where everything had started 6 months ago. "Are you sure you want to go?" Marcus asked. "I have to. It's tradition. And I'm not letting fear dictate my life anymore." She smiled. "Besides, I'll have the best security in the city watching over me." "Damn right you will." That evening, Marcus stood in the same ballroom where he'd first kissed Victoria. The space had been completely renovated after the investigation cleansed of bad memories. Now it glittered with hope instead of danger. Victoria worked the room in a silver dress, confident and poised. Emma was at home with Lisa, probably conspiring to convince Marcus to get a second dog. Life had settled into a rhythm that felt almost normal. Almost. A waiter approached with champagne, and Marcus tensed automatically. The waiter noticed and smiled kindly. "Sir, I promise this is just champagne. No poison." Marcus relaxed, managing a laugh. "Sorry. Occupational hazard. I heard what happened here 6 months ago. What you did for Ms. Chen. That took courage. I did what anyone would do." "No, sir. You did what a hero would do." The waiter moved on, and Victoria appeared at Marcus's side. "Still jumpy about champagne? Some habits are hard to break." "Good. I prefer you paranoid and alive over relaxed and dead." They stood together watching the crowd, and Marcus thought about how much had changed. 6 months ago, he'd been a broken man chasing ghosts. Now he had a family, a purpose, a future. "Thank you," Victoria said quietly. "For what?" "For saving my life. For staying. For loving me. For giving me a reason to keep fighting. You're the one who kept fighting. I just provided backup. We kept fighting. Together." She took his hand. "And we'll keep fighting. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." "Together," Marcus agreed. Emma called later that night, wanting to say goodnight. Marcus put her on speaker so Victoria could hear. "Did you guys have fun at the party?" Emma asked. "We did. Wish you could have been there. Aunt Lisa says I'm too young for fancy parties. But when I'm older, I can go with you guys, right?" Absolutely. Good. Because I want to wear a fancy dress like Victoria's, and eat tiny food on sticks, and dance with Dad. Victoria smiled. You can have all of that, I promise. Okay. I love you guys. Good night. Good night, sweetheart. After they hung up, Victoria turned to Marcus. She said she loves us. Both of us. She meant it. Emma doesn't say things she doesn't mean. I love her too. So much it scares me. Welcome to parenthood. The fear never goes away. You just get better at living with it. They drove home through city streets, past the warehouse district, where Thomas's operation had ended in flames, past the courthouse, where justice had been served, past all the places where their story had unfolded. At home, Marcus found a small box on the kitchen counter. Emma must have left it. Inside was a crayon drawing of 3 people and a dog. The words "My family" were written across the top in Emma's careful handwriting. Victoria looked over his shoulder. She drew me in. You are family, both of you. You're everything that matters. Marcus pinned the drawing to the refrigerator next to Emma's schoolwork and Victoria's business cards, and all the mundane details of domestic life. This was what they'd fought for. Not revenge, not justice, though those had been important. They'd fought for this. For the right to build something good. For the chance to love and be loved. For the possibility of healing. David Chen had known this, had fought for it even knowing it would cost him his life. Had reached out to Marcus because he'd seen another father, another person willing to fight for what mattered. And Sarah had known it too. Had spent her last days investigating corruption because she believed in justice, in protecting the innocent, in making the world safer for their daughter. They were both gone. But their legacy lived on in Marcus and Victoria and Emma. In the company that was being rebuilt with integrity. In the trials that were bringing criminals to justice. In the family that was forming from broken pieces. Victoria wrapped her arms around Marcus from behind, resting her head against his back. I never thought I'd have this, she said. A family. Someone to come home to. Someone who loves me for who I am, not what I can do for them. You deserve all of it. And more. So do you. You've been alone too long. I'm not alone anymore. No, neither of us are. They stood there in the kitchen, holding each other, surrounded by the evidence of their life together. And Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Complete. Not because Victoria filled the hole Sarah left. No one could do that. But because he'd learned that the heart was bigger than he'd known. That there was room for old love and new love. For grief and joy. For memory and hope. He'd learned that saving someone's life could save your own. That one desperate kiss could change everything. That courage wasn't about not being afraid, but about acting despite fear. And he'd learned that families came in all forms. Not just blood relations, but people who chose each other. Who fought for each other. Who built something beautiful from the ruins of tragedy. Emma's drawing remained on the refrigerator for years. Through birthdays and graduations, and Emma's acceptance to veterinary school. Through Marcus and Victoria's wedding, small and simple, with Emma as maid of honor. Through the adoption of not 1, but 2 dogs, because Emma had indeed been very responsible and very patient. Through the rebuilding of Chen Enterprises into one of the most ethical companies in the country. Through Marcus's work rooting out corruption and building systems that honored David Chen's vision. Through quiet evenings and loud holidays, and all the messy, complicated, beautiful moments that made up a life. And whenever Marcus looked at that drawing, he remembered. The kiss that saved a life. The woman who'd saved his heart. The daughter who'd given him a reason to keep going. The father-in-law he'd never met, but whose legacy he worked every day to honor. He remembered that darkness couldn't win if people were willing to fight back. That love was stronger than grief. That family was worth any risk. And he remembered that sometimes the most important thing you could do was act. Without hesitation. Without knowing the outcome. Just do what was right because it was right. Like kissing a stranger to save her life. Like staying to see justice done. Like opening your heart one more time, even when you'd sworn you never would. Like building a family from hope and courage and love. That was the real story. Not the conspiracy, or the trials, or the dramatic confrontations, but this, the quiet moments, the ordinary days, the family dinner and bedtime stories and inside jokes that made life worth living. This was what David Chen had died for, what Sarah had died for, what Marcus had been willing to die for, and it was worth it. Every single moment was worth it.